Once upon a time, there was an RTX 3090 Strix. The Strix asked Papa Nvidia, "Papa, why do I have all these chips on my back?" Papa Nvidia says, "We can't lose to AMD, deal with it." One day the 3090 was on a stroll to the park and met MP5WORKS. MP5WORKS was like, "Hey baby, I can cool that back for you. Let me just get inside." Oh yeah, 3090 was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Oh, my back. Oh, it feels so good." Hey guys, welcome to Frame Chasers. I just thought that up like the last 5 seconds because I had literally no idea what to do for this intro, so I was like, "Oh, I'll make it sexual. Sex sells." Anyway, there's not much to this video. We're gonna be pretty much doing the Strix 3090 temperature testing with thermocouples on the back, on the rear ICs, before and after with the MP5WORKS. We'll also be doing GDDR6 memory overclocking. So like, how far can we push it stock? Like, stock is in just the regular backplate. And then how far can we push it with the MP5WORKS water cooler? What's the temperature differences? That's pretty much it. This video is more of a fan service, supporter service. We have a lot of people in the Discord with Strix 3090s, and they all have EK water blocks coming pretty much, and they pretty much want to know whether this MP5WORKS thing is worth buying or not, and what the temperature difference is. So everyone is really just waiting for this video. So even though I don't have the EK water block, I can still do it with the stock backplate, and the data would be the same anyway, you know what I mean? And on that note though, is it really worth cooling the back at all? Like, maybe not with the MP5WORKS thing, but maybe with like fans. Is it like, the tests I did before were with the 3080, so that was like more VRM backplate cooling, not so much GDDR6X modules. So this one is gonna be the does it do anything for you 3090 owners kind of thing, right? Like, is it actually worth actively backplate cooling the 3090? So let's head up, do some testing, install the thing, go back up, do some testing, and let's see what's going on up there with that thing. All right, to the Batmobile. Okay, so we're at Tomb Raider 8K. We've just been sitting in the menu here for about an hour. We're at 75, 76C. It's kind of stabilized at on the core, 40 FPS. And thermocouple 1, 62C, sorry. And thermocouple 2 is about 67 on average. Thermocouple 1 being over here, and thermocouple 2 being on this side. Interesting that this one is actually hotter than this one by a few degrees, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. So we're at 1,000, plus 1,000 on the memory. We're gonna go plus 1,100 now, and I'm gonna go for another hour and see if it's actually stable. But 1 hour at plus 1,000 is stable at 67 Celsius on those RAM chips. All right, I'll be back. Look at my kitty. Isn't she beautiful? Hi, my baby. Hi, my kitty. My pretty kitty. Alright, another hour. I even ran a couple of benchmarks, and 1,100, we're pretty much in the exact same spot. And even with benchmarking it, it still hasn't crashed. So, I mean, maybe anything under 70C is fine. Like, I guess Asus just did a really good job with those rear memory the rear backplate cooling. Like, it seems fine. But let's bump this up to 1,200 now and see what happens. Oh, yep. I just put 1,200 and it turned my PC off. So I guess that's the limit. We'll try 1150 next. That's what we'll do that next. Crash. Okay, so 1150 crashed it. So we'll say with no rear cooling, we'll say 1100 was the max then. Okay, so this is gonna be a little more complicated than the XE3 was. It's a much wider backplate. B, even though the XE3 had a bunch of holes in it, which made it a better candidate for that Amazon triple fan thing, this has more of a solid backplate, but not sure if you can hear that. There's divots in it. You can see the divots, right? Look at, like, those aren't cosmetic. I mean, I guess they are cosmetic, but they are actually divots into the backplate. So when it comes to the MP5WORKS cooler here, and you want to make sure you cover all the memory ICs, so we're gonna encounter two problems here. Problem A is the same problem we had with the XE3, a gaping hole in the middle. So first, we're gonna have to maybe do a double thermal pad, like a small square inside and then a larger one on top of it to make it level here. And then maybe problem number 2 would be cutting slits of thermal pad to go inside of, the divots. And then you can kind of compress it with this after to make it perfectly flat, right? But that's what we're going to be doing here. Let's start with the small square in the middle, and I'll call out the measurements as I do it. So in case anybody actually does want to do this with because I know that the Strix backplates are out of stock from EK right now. So if you end up buying a water block for the front and you use the stock backplate somehow, this will be valuable for you. Okay, so first one done here. The inner square here is exactly 2 millimeters. So now the thermal pad is directly flush with the mounting bracket. So then the next one I'm gonna do is the whole thing. You know what I mean? Okay, so the second one that you're gonna want to use to make it flush is 1 millimeter. So 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top. And I kind of pushed it all down with my thumb to compress it a little bit, and with the cooler on, perfect. No seesaw action whatsoever. Full contact on the whole thing. So that's good for this part. The next part that I'm gonna want to do is actually, I'm gonna take this, measure out exactly where I want it to be, and then maybe I'll get some tape and then line up exactly where I need it to go. Okay, so 0.5 millimeter does look like it's going to work. Kind of push it down a little bit to make it flush, but honestly, now that I'm doing this, it seems a little silly to be going this far. To be cutting the slits this thinly. This is more like an OCD type of thing. Just me in my head knowing that it's going to make good contact. But you know what we'll do instead? I'm going to leave this side undone. And then this thermocouple will measure this side. Then I will leave this side done. This thermocouple will, and then we'll see if the temperature difference on the 2 sensors that I had from before, that we'll also know if this even works in the first place. Then we'll also know if all this nonsense over here made a difference at all too, right? So kind of 2 tests in 1. Okay, problem number 2. The hooks that come with this thing, the Strix, the stock Strix backplate is so thick. Let me see if I can show you. It's so thick that the hooks can't actually bite into it to actually apply pressure on the backplate here. So what I'm going to have to do is take the backplate off and actually file down from the inside, like file down the backplate a bit to actually get the hook to be able to bite in. This model was the 3080 model, so I'm pretty sure that the 3090 model is going to have like fatter hooks and longer cords to make it compatible with all 3090s, because they all have like thick ass backplates and shit. But that doesn't mean that I can't get this to work right now. And I'm going to be running this daily anyway, so I don't mind filing down. It depends how OCD you are, but I don't mind filing down the inside. I'll show you. It'll still look clean after. Let me. I'm going to go through it and I'll show you how it's done. Actually, on that note, someone in the Discord was going to get this set up as well. And what they were talking about doing was actually, when I get the EK backplate, like drill holes into the acrylic here and remove like the standoffs for the plastic bungee, and then like drill holes and tap them into the actual backplate and then mount it with screws. That would actually be the best custom approach, I want to say. I might actually do that when I get my EK backplate, but that will be for a future video because I don't have it yet. I should have it pretty soon though. Okay, so this took maybe all of like 10 minutes. This is some really soft aluminum. Like, you can see just how I maybe took off like a millimeter, right? And now it hooks just fine. So one here, one over here, hook, hook. And then we're going to put it back on and I'm going to get it all together and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, here we go. Problemo solvdo. I kind of misfired on this one by like 1 millimeter. I mean, you can see it's a little crooked, but whatever. That's not that big of a deal. It'll still hold, right? And two of them, this one and this one, I had to redo the cords to make them a bit longer. Like, I had to tie the knots myself. Again, big deal. But there we go. And you can see how like this side has those little strips underneath it, and this side does not. So let's take this upstairs, put her in parallel, and, you know, let's see what we can do with this thing. Also, just for reference, you legit can't even tell that I filed those spots down. I mean, look at that, right? Like, big deal. Like, I'm honestly just not that OCD about aesthetics on such a microscopic level. I'm more OCD about the performance of this thing, right? So filing the corners down to make it fit is not a big deal for me. It might be for you, and if it is, wait for the EK block or the EK backplates to come back in stock. But other than that, this is how you gotta do it. Okay, so this is my permanent, temporary, permanent setup. So obviously I don't have you know, EK Strix water block. So when I get that, I'll do like a build vlog and make it all nice. I still have some hard lines in there, but I'll redo everything from scratch and like make it a final build. But for now, so I don't have the nipples to work off of for parallel. So instead I used like my auxiliary outputs, I guess you could say, for the radiators. So this is my intake. It goes back here behind into the MP5WORKS. And then I got my return going up into here. So it comes from the back, up, 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 and then up here, and then it flows out, and then everything goes back behind to where my reservoir is. So this is probably something similar to what I'll do in the final build. I may use this one instead as my return. I'll just to be able to hide those lines. I mean, I'll see later, but this is what I'm working with for now, and the flow is magnificent. Actually, here you go. You can see it flowing really nicely from the back here. There's a lot of flow going through there. So I think actually using the radiator nipples, Using the radiator nipples seems to provide more flow than the GPU water block. Like, it wasn't flowing this much before. It could just be me, but that seems to be a lot faster than it was before with the GPU block. But I'll test and verify that again later. But yeah, this is working out well. All right, we're an hour in, 8K, same. We're at 1100 right now. It dropped about 2 to 3 degrees on the core, so that's pretty much the exact same as the exact same as what happened on the 3080 as well. It dropped 2 or 3 degrees over there. And what do we got for temperature sensor 1, 49, temperature sensor 2, 54. So what is that? 13 degrees on the right. Yeah, 13 degrees across the board on both sides. So it looks like those slits that I put in there didn't actually do anything, because if it did, the temperature drop would have been lower on the right side, not equal on both sides. But since it's actually equal on both sides, don't bother with the slits and stuff. But I mean, hell, man, 13 degrees, that's huge. Huge. Okay, let's see if we can go overclock any higher. Nah, no dice. It rebooted again. So we're not actually temperature limited at all. It's either voltage limited or hard limited or something else, but like my card specifically will not go past 1100 no matter what. So, I mean, nothing to do with the temperatures here. All right, so those are the results. It's pretty much identical to what I had in the 3080 ones. If I recall correctly, in the first one, it was a 13 degree drop. If I remember that correctly, on the EVGA backplate. And then when I added the Alpha Cool backplate, it was 17 or 20 or whatever. So the reason is because the Alpha Cool backplate had that gaping hole. It was solid. So there's that much more surface area for the rear water block, the MP5WORKS block, to actually cool the whole thing down, right? So the conclusion is the exact same. You can get it to work if you have the gaping hole with those thermal pads or whatever. Like it still dropped, 3 degrees from the core, but you can get another 5 degrees out of it if you have the, I would assume, EK or Alpha Cool backplate, right? So I know EK is out of stock on the backplates right now. Doesn't matter. It still works with this thing. You can still save yourself $40 if you just don't get the backplate. And the EK backplate would be an extra 4 degrees. But I will revisit this when I get my EK water block just to confirm. I won't do a whole video on it. I'll just be like, hey guys, it added another 4 degrees or whatever like that, you know what I mean? But in terms of the actual memory overclocking, didn't actually do anything. I wasn't temperature limited in the first place. So I feel like this would work much better, or it would give you more headroom on like a Founders Edition. If what I remember from Hardware Unboxed video, it was like high 70s or like low 80s on those rear ICs. And they couldn't push them very far. So I figure maybe if you're like below 65-ish, you're probably okay. And the Strix backplate, the stock one, is so thick that it actually draws way more heat out of it. You know what the interesting thing is, though? When I actually touch the backplate with my hand without the cooler, it like burns my fingers, which would indicate that it's really hot, right? But like the sensor doesn't lie. The sensor, like even though the backplate is really hot, your memory temperature could actually be quite low because it's all getting pushed to the backplate, right? But when I added the MP5WORKS cooler, I could touch it back there, no problem. It wasn't even warm, you know what I mean? So, take it is what it is. Take it for what it's worth, right? But in terms of like overclockability, yeah, it's not temperature limited at all, and that's not like a fault of anybody, or it's not like, you know what I mean? It's like you're limited. You're either limited by the GDDR6X like physical frequency limits, or you're limited by the voltage that's being pumped into it. So I would imagine that if you did some sort of hard mod to increase the voltage to your memory ICs, obviously they would pump out more heat because they're getting more voltage. They would clock higher, but that's where this thing would come into play and cool those down better, right? Maybe we'll look into that into the future. I mean, if we'll see. So to conclude, then, if you use a stock backplate, 13 to 14 degree drop on the Strix specifically, right? If you use a solid backplate, you can throw 20 degree drop on top, just from the thermal mass in the area. You're essentially doubling the thermal mass of the absorption, right? Other than that, yeah, this was more of like a build vlog update for me and my followers and my supporters and stuff, right? Because they were really curious about this. But anyway, guys, if you like the content, hit that subscribe button, do all that YouTube SEO stuff, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below what you think about all this. And my update on the 5950X is I am on the first batch. So whenever that, like, the retailer got back to me and it says I'm in the first batch. So whenever that happens, I'll get one. And my update on the EK block, I should be getting it shipped this week according to EK. So we'll see. I have a lot more content coming in the future. What we'll be doing tonight on stream is we're going to go through all of the mainstream tech media outlets, all of their 5950X or just Zen 3 in general reviews, and we're going to go through why those results are not meaningful to not meaningful to frame chasers or people looking for that competitive edge. For like the mainstream plebs, it's fine, but for like people that are looking for the best and the fastest, all of those numbers are meaningless. So that's what we'll be doing tonight on Twitch. We're gonna go through all that information. Join us at 6 p.m. tonight. Yeah, if that's something that interests you. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Talk to you later.